Hello, and welcome to the Noncast with William and Shannon. I'm William. At the end of season one, which we didn't know was going to be the end of season one, I had started a clay sculpture of my Walking Dead character, and I thought, since I have a week off before my new job starts, that I would finish it. And it is done. But before I show you, I thought I'd talk to you about my time on The Walking Dead. Uh, I don't remember how many days I was scheduled. It was 3 or 5, but the first few days were long and hot. You get there, you get your weapons training. Uh, you go through the scenes. You meet a lot of great people. I mean, The Walking Dead was probably one of my favorite sets as far as people being nice. But they were also very strict because you're around weapons and everything's by the book. Uh, and that's fine. That's how it should be. Safety first. There was one particular situation where, in the scene where you actually see me, she tells me that I need to go out and create an opening. So you see me run out, and I run past the camera. If you watch later, you can actually see me run past uh, the car further ahead. But you don't see is me trip and drop the gun, and it goes sliding across the pavement. And you got all the Alexandrians out there firing at me, and I'm just sitting here between two cars looking at them, and I have no weapon now. So I actually crawl out and get my gun, and I have to get the clip because it's separated. I have to crawl back and try to assemble everything and try to stay in character as best I could. I tore my pants up really bad. I actually added that to the character because you don't see that in the show, but I actually tore my pants open at the knee. And then I ended up getting shot in the back by Eric, but he got his later in the day, so anywho. And all that happened in episode 2 of season 8. And then the next day we shot for episode 3. And so when I come in that day, they give me my call sheet. This is what time I'm supposed to be there. When I get there, normally I'm like one of the first people there because I always like to arrive an hour early. But for some reason, I was one of the last people there. And it turns out I was set aside. They took me to hair and makeup, and they dolled me up like a dead person and strapped on some guts, cut open my shirt so the guts could hang out. And then they took me to set, and I just sat there all day until the sun started getting down, and it was hot because it's just concrete all around. It was a long, hot day. And I thought they dialed me up for nothing because nothing happened. At the very last end of the day, last scene, they call me out. They cover the ground in blood, fake blood, lay me down, cover me in blood, and bring out Andrew Lincoln and this other character, which for the life of me, I can't remember his name. And we shoot this scene where they put a CGI knife in the back of my head, and Andrew Lincoln takes a Polaroid of me. And that was so cool. I did not realize that I was going to get a close-up in The Walking Dead. For a split second, I am The Walking Dead. And I can't even explain how that feels. It happened in Stranger Things, too, where you're the only person on camera. And for a moment, you are that universe. And it's just a really cool feeling. It's only ever happened one other time, and that was on The Resident, where I was in the pilot episode. I'm actually the patient that gets killed in the very first scene of that show. And that was actually quite a bit of fun because Bruce Greenwood actually did CPR on me and didn't realize he was doing it. I was laying inside this table, so you only see like from here up was me. Everything else was a doll, a mannequin. And they have the guts and open and everything. You could be doing the surgery. At one point, he has to do CPR, and he's just wailing away. But the problem is he's missing the doll, and he's actually on my chest, doing compressions on my chest. But I kept my eyes closed, and we did the scene 2 or 3 times, and then he kind of leans down to me. He says, "You doing okay there?" And I said, "Well, yeah, you keep doing what you have to do, but you're actually doing that to me." And he's like, "What?" He didn't realize that he was missing it, but we didn't need to get any more, thankfully. But that was a lot of fun. And actually, fun fact, that scene that you saw in that episode was one of the nurses' first time working with that doctor, so she wants to take a selfie. That was not the original storyline. The original storyline is that my character has this giant member, and one of the nurses notices and wants to take pictures with it. Uh, and so we shot that entire scene one day, and they even had a robotic stunt double for me. Uh, and so it gets sent to the Fox executives, and they said, no, you can't have that kind of situation on a network show. So we actually had to go back and reshoot the entire beginning scene. We got to keep everything else, but that little bit of beginning was actually originally much different. Anywho, I've never seen the show because I have this rule that after I die on a show, I no longer watch it. I've not seen The Walking Dead past my episode. I've not seen The Resident at all because I died in the very first scene. I am still alive in Stranger Things, even though I am not in season 4. I was supposed to be, but then the pandemic hit 8 days before my scheduled shoot date, and then everything just kind of flew out the window, and I'm not sure what happened. They never called back. So, oh well. But anywho, before I reveal this, I just want to kind of take a look at what I did to get to this point. And remember, I am not by any means an expert. This is my first time ever doing a clay sculpture. Definitely my first time ever doing like a human. So it wasn't easy, and it's not pretty. So if you came here thinking I was going to give you tips and tricks, you came to the wrong place. So like I said, this is just my first try. It was for fun. And, I'll stick it on my shelf for a couple of years until it gets too dusty to clean anymore. And then it'll end up in storage, and then one of my kids will inherit it, and we'll see what they do with it. So, yeah. So, anyway, here's the process it took to get to this point. So, somewhere in the past year, I managed to lose the footage where I actually created the clay sculpture itself. So, basically, I just fitted the pieces of clay around the armature, and then I just used tools in order to create details such as the treads in the boots and around my fingers, so on and so forth. Here I am painting a layer of gray paint to act as a primer. I figured the clay is going to absorb a lot of the paint, so I wanted to get a layer down so that the paint layer itself would have something to stick to. I start with the deepest colors first, kind of like with a Bob Ross painting where you start with the stuff farthest away and then work your way forward. I kind of did that here, painting the stuff that would be behind edges of clothing or stuff that would be hard to get to later on. After that, I just filled in the details such as the boot and the hair. As a final step, I used watered down black acrylic and white acrylic in order to get dust and dirt and to fill in the crevices to give it some depth and some life. I think it came out pretty good for a first try, and I would love to hear what your thoughts are on it. So leave me a comment, tell me what you think. Maybe ways I can improve for the next time I do something like this. So the sculpture itself I actually did a year ago, and it's been sitting in my laundry room ever since. And I just brought it out the other day and thought, I want to go ahead and finish this project before I start my new job, because I know I'm not going to have any more time after that. And we've already put out the first episode, and it didn't really quite make sense that we were putting out other stuff and not putting part 2 of this sculpture out. So I wanted to go ahead and get it out there. So here is the final result. Hey. Now, I really enjoyed making this, and it's not perfect, of course. I mean, obviously, I see a couple spots I missed inside the guts, and around the face just looks really rough. But, for a first time, I thought I did, fairly decent. I did try to get some shadows and dust in there. Try to lighten up my knees because that would be something that's typically worn away on normal clothing. I even got the treads in on the feet. And I learned a few techniques, such as, you make the body first and then you kind of layer the clothes on so that you get a little folds and things like this that you wouldn't be able to just carve out easily. But I have fun. I may try something like this again. I don't know what I would do. Shoot me some ideas. We'll see where it goes. And we have some future art projects coming up that we are really excited about. We want to do some spin art. I want to do that chain pull art. And we're going to do a little bit of oil painting on little miniature canvases. Kind of like this one right here. These little trees. I used to make these all the time. I actually gave some of these away to the Queer Eye guys when they were here. But I love making these things, and I might even put some up for sale if you guys are wanting to buy something. Hey, you never know. But yeah, I have a couple of ideas for things that I might want to try cooking to see how that turn out. I'm not an expert in anything. Don't come here looking for expert advice because you're not gonna get it. We're here for fun and nonsense. The Noncast. All right, so I guess that's going to be it for this week. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Subscribing and liking helps our channel out and helps us to grow so that we can put out more content in the future. And it makes us feel good when we get people that, like us because, that's how we are. But, all right. Hopefully next week we'll have Shannon back. I don't want to give away next week's episode, but I want to say it involves blind cooking. All right. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Could I have rambled anymore?